Well, hello everybody, and back from the Carnival celebration. And I didn't do a very good job of advertising this show today. I know I've been went live several times on the Carnival celebration last week, and well, people may be thinking like, okay, what's his schedule? Is he back? Is there going to be a show? A couple people actually messaged me saying, hey, is there going to be a show today? I did post the show earlier today, but obviously, you know, I should have done a little bit earlier than that. You see, I got Zoe next to me, and Zoe is super excited because she saw the super chat from Tim G there, and she says that means that I get a treat. So before I get explaining to that, and she's ripping my arm off here to try to get this hot dog, we have a half a hot dog for anybody that does a treat for Zoe. A $10 super chat gets a treat for Zoe, and a $15 super chat or more gets a treat for Zoe and me. So I have right here a shot courtesy of Tim and Cheryl. And the shot is 4 roses. I'm starting to get down to the bottom of that. But Zoe is anxious for her treat, so we'll take care of her first. So high five for Tim and Cheryl. And what do you say? Yes, you do. That means thank you. All right. Well, let me say hi. Oh, let me do my shot first. And cheers, Tim, Cheryl. Thank you very much. That's a heck of a welcome back. Way to get started here. And that is a good shot. Okay. Let me say hi to everybody. A bunch of people have just jumped in. Frankie, Floyd, and Tim were the first ones in. Like I said, Tim started us off with that super chat. Great start. And I'll go over the numbers because we have some people that carried over from before the cruise that I will share too. We got Mike here. And Mike, I got your stuff ready on the table. I just got to pack it up and get it ready to ship out. Let's see, go through all the names, get everybody in here. Tim and Mike were having quite a conversation, and Frankie. And then we got Angie, the Merry Mixer, and seen her in a while. And I saw that charcuterie post that you put, Angie, along with a couple other posts. And I said, is she doing charcuterie now? And then I read the post and saw it was your friend. So then Nick is back once again. Sandy Lost Pirate Jenkins, great to see you. Travel with Fun, great to see you back again. Will G commented earlier today on a video I just released. We got Chris Cakin's back. Good to see you. Shane is one of the people carrying over from the drawing last week. And look at that. We have Yoli, and Yoli just got off the cruise ship with me. They had some travel difficulties coming back, kind of similar to the way we had getting there. Mike is saying hello to you, Zoe. And we got Bruce from Ocean Travel, who is on right after me, as we've mentioned several times before. There's Cheryl. What's going on, Cheryl? And we have Jennifer Gibbs. Tell me about shopping on the ship. Is it good enough? Well, I can tell you, well, let's just jump right into that because I'll probably forget if I don't. They have a lot of jewelry. From watches to rings to earrings, all that stuff. They have some very nice handbags, Louis Vuitton and things like that. I'm not a big shopper, to be honest with you. They have several, souvenir type shops where you can get, Carnival themed merchandise. And the dog's name is Zoe, Travel of Fun, ZOE. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people do shopping on the ship. I mean, I guess it depends maybe put in the comments specifically what you're looking for. Give me a better idea of, what you want to shop for. But I believe they have Victoria's Secret, stuff like that. So we have, let's see here. Cruise Life TV is back once again. Greg and Michelle, great to see you too. Thank you for the kind comments on all the videos. Rambling Ronnie Squires with Shirley. Thanks again for sharing your thoughts and content. Hey, it's my pleasure. Todd Windling, what is going on? I think you might be new to the show. If you are, thanks so much. And look at that. We got another super sticker from Frankie Floyd. Let's get that on the board. That means we are going to be, Frankie, you are going to be 48 through 50. That gives us a nice round number because Tim was 28 through 47, and I'll go through the other people. Barbara Daw, hello, and you sound, I think the name is new. So thank you. Oh, souvenirs. Yeah, they have a lot of those, Jennifer, a lot of souvenir type stuff. So you will be okay there. Um, all right. I think that almost catches us up with everybody. And like I said, Zoe here is tearing up the arm. Carryovers from prior to us leaving on the celebration, we had Moonlight Adventures numbers 1 through 5, Carnival Cruise Addicts 6 through 20, Shane was 21 through 25, Rick W 26-27. Now Tim started us off tonight with that $20 super chat. He's numbers, and Cheryl is numbers 28 through 47. And then we have Frankie Floyd coming in to round us off at 48 through 50. And I see we're up to 35. So I tell you what, if we could get 35 likes, that would be absolutely amazing. So if you haven't already hit that like button, would much appreciate it. And yeah, let's start talking Carnival celebration. So start with the travel. The travel there. I mentioned Yoli and them, they had a rough travel day back yesterday. My travel back, I have to admit, was pretty smooth. I can't complain too much. But the travel there kind of, in large part due to ourselves. But I had purchased a ticket with American Airlines because I got a good deal on a ticket. And it was leaving at about noon, maybe 1 o'clock, something like that. And we had noticed that there were a ton of flights earlier in the day that were nonstop through American. And Anita, being a flight attendant, has, privileges to fly on other airlines and things like that, at a discounted rate for us. So she said, hey, let's try to get on American. Look at all these flights. We could get there super early and they have open seats and, it shouldn't be a problem. So it sounded like a great idea to me because I was going to be on a flight to Nashville and have a 4-hour layover in Nashville. So we decided, let's go ahead and give it a shot. So we get up at 3 a.m. to try to catch the first of several flights that started at 5 a.m. We're one of the final 2 or 3 that didn't make the flight. It was full flight. Go to 6:15, shut out there. Go to the 8:30, shut out there. Go to the 10:15, shut out there. Go to the 11:40, shut out there. All those flights we sat through waiting. So I ultimately had to go on my book confirmed flight. So I basically, by the time I actually got to Miami after the 4-hour layover at Nashville, it was about 10 or 11 p.m. by the time I actually hit the hotel lobby. And so it was a 3 a.m. to 11 p.m. So I wasn't doing much partying that night, but I did meet up with Yoli, Andrew, and their whole crew and did have a drink. Andrew was kind enough to have a old fashioned there for me. So yeah, so that's the travel part. I see we got a couple questions here. Yeah, Cruise Life TV says that itty bitty plane. Yeah, I was on a small plane to Nashville, but it was a short flight, so it wasn't too bad. Barbara asks, what time can you provide advice for group cruising? Well, Barbara, I mean, the thing is, the thing about group cruising, depending upon, how much, what your VIFP level is, like, for example, Carnival, if somebody's going on their first Carnival cruise and then somebody else is going on their 10th Carnival cruise, it can be a big difference in price. If you're all going on the cruise for the first time, it might not be much of a difference at all. Now, the other thing to consider is, like, for example, if there are gamblers within your, group, then they might get a better rate if they had previously cruised that line because, the cruise lines love the gamblers because they know they're going to spend money in the casino. And so a lot of times they try to entice them with some really good deals. And I've gotten some of those good deals in the past as well. So, as far as groups, I don't know if the more specific question, if in terms of just trying to get rates, there's several people even in the chat right now that are travel agents that could assist you. I know Bruce from Ocean Travel. I don't know who else, could help you in here. That's a travel agent for sure. I know Derek over at Island Time has helped me book a few cruises in the past. and things like that. But yeah. So Justin's asking, did I see the game last night? Of course I saw the game, Justin. And Justin, you may not know, but I actually played college football with the father of the quarterback of the University of Michigan. I played with a gentleman by the name of Jim McCarthy, and his son is JJ McCarthy. I shared that on my personal page on Facebook. And so I was very, very happy for them, very happy for my college teammate and his son and their whole family. And he's supposed to be an NFL draft choice, probably in the first round. So very exciting. And look at that. We have Sandy, the Lost Pirate Jenkins, and she wants to send you a treat, Zoe. You got any problems with that? I don't think you do. So we have half a hot dog here for you, Zoe, courtesy of Sandy. So a high five for Sandy. And what do you say? What do you say to Sandy? You say thank you. Good girl. All right. So she appreciates that hot dog very much, Sandy. And thank you. Thank you for that as well. Mike says, yes, Island Time funnel heads are just a few. Mike, I don't know if funnel heads is booking travel. They could be, but I'm not 100% sure. Cruise Life TV, are you guys travel agents? I forgot whether you were or not. A lot of people ask me if I do the travel agent thing. I may in the future, but it's a ways. I mean, just with the coaching responsibilities of my regular job and everything, I don't have time to do all that. And I have thought about it, and if I did do it, I think I would start off with strictly Carnival because that's what I know so well. So I could really give people some good insight on Carnival, the ships, the ins and outs and everything else like that. So that's what I think I would go with. All right, let me take a breath here and take a drink. And Zoe's loving the hot dogs today. I got a whole plate of them here, little bites, and then the big half hot dogs for the treats. All right, so once we got through the whole travel ordeal, woke up the next morning, headed over to the ship. Boarding was a little bit later. They tend to try to get you starting to board by about 10:30, but it was more like 11:30 or later before they started to let the diamonds get on the cruise ship. And I tell you, it's always fun walking up that ramp, right? Most people aren't excited about walking up ramps unless you're walking up a ramp to a cruise ship. Then you get to step in a little faster, don't you? So, that first day was New Year's Eve, which made it a little extra special, obviously, because you're going to get into the party mode right away. Except for me, I had to distribute some Coach Cruise t-shirts because the very next day we were on a Coach Cruise bar crawl and there were some people who had to pick up their t-shirts. So I went to Guys Pig and Anchor. I put the Raider game on my phone because they weren't showing it on the TVs there, and just had people coming up to me and picking up their Coach Cruise shirts. And then it was time to get ready for the steakhouse dinner that we had. Yoli, Andrew, and their entire crew. We all ate together, had a great meal, dressed up in the Roaring 20s gear. For those of you that did not see it, if you go to my cruise day video on Coach Cruise, you can check out the whole thing. We're all dressed up in the 20s gear. We had a little mini bar crawl, mini Roaring 20s theme bar crawl where we hit 4 bars. We started off in the Havana bar, then we went to Latitudes, then we went to Golden Jubilee, and we finished at the Alchemy bar before getting ready to bring the new year in. And the new year, you could celebrate it in 2 different places. You could celebrate it in Grand Central, or you could celebrate it on top on the Lido deck. My friends, Lee, the cruise director, and Marcela Mamacita at sea, they were bringing it in Grand Central on deck 6, which was a change. So something decided to try, not to mention, they're the life of the party themselves. So that was a lot of fun bringing it in down there. And then they broadcast that up to the Lido deck that was crazy packed and being led up there by DJ Q. So that was a lot of fun. All right. Mike says he loves the steakhouse, and absolutely. Angie booked the Valor for March 17th and another. Ooh, okay. All right, Angie. You didn't tell me about all that. I wish some of those dates. And you know what, Angie, I'm missing you by 1 week. The cruise I'm on is March 23rd. I see you got March 17th there. So we're missing each other by only 1 week. That'd have been cool. Let's see. I don't see. Oh, Tim says he loved the Tommy guns. Yeah. So I don't know. Again, if you didn't see the cruise day video, you can go check that out. But there were some inflatable Tommy guns that I think I got them on Amazon, but it was like, 12, $15, something like that. And yeah, you could just blow up these little Tommy guns, and it went with the 1920s, kind of gangster look I was trying to pull off. But it was a lot of fun. We really had a lot of fun with that. So thank you for that. And Chris says, talking about the Valor Jubilee, but for a few extra days and a brand new ship, it's only like 600 more. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get on the Jubilee. I keep checking prices, but I know Chris is saying there for only about 600 more. My difference currently, through the deals that I have, it's significantly more than $600 more for me to get on the Jubilee any of the times that I could, specifically this summer, a particular week that I'm looking at. Oh, Mike says Coach can sing too. Well, I'll tell you what, when I do karaoke, there are two singers that I do that I've sung them several times because I think for whatever reason I can carry their tone a little bit better. But Sinatra and Garth Brooks, those are my two go-tos for singing if I'm going to be, embarrassing myself at karaoke. But it's fun. You have a couple drinks and you see everybody up there. That's one thing I've noticed about karaoke on ships. Everybody, you see Zoe's trying to give me a little extra love for a little more hot dog here. Everybody seems so supportive. And that's cruise fam in general, but yeah, I don't know if it's, again, that's on the cruise day video, the last little bit of the Sinatra song I sang. I think I sang That's Life. I forget which one it was, but Frankie, it's crazy. We've only booked one cruise for next year so far. That is crazy. You gotta get a couple more on the dockets. So all right, so let's move on here. So again, New Year's Eve was great. I put up several pictures. I have a lot more content coming out on the Carnival celebration. Today, I just posted the bar crawl. Many of you saw the bar crawl, and if put in your comments about that, about how fun a time. The bar crawl is always fun. It really is, and some are a little wilder, a little crazier than others. And it seems like everybody that goes on the bar crawl, they think like, oh, this bar crawl was crazy. It was wild, and actually this one was, it was a lot of fun, and it was crazy and wild. But, by comparison to past bar crawls, which not everybody knows, it was, relatively, I don't want to say tame because they're never tame, but it was controlled. It was a controlled environment. Nobody getting too crazy, so that was good. But always a lot of fun. Chris has a question. Since Cheers doesn't work till the first season day in Galveston, does that include non-alcoholic drinks as well? I'm assuming yes. I believe it does, Chris, because they can't divide up the cost. But actually, I don't know. Now that I think about it, I don't know 110% sure, but I think I would have heard that by now that was a possibility. So I'm guessing that no, you're on your own for drinks that day. So that makes getting that bottle of wine very important, or whatever beverage they allow you to take for your one bottle. If you're going out of Galveston and you want to drink, you can definitely. Now, when we go out of ports that aren't Galveston or New York, I think is the same way. We will not even get a bottle most of the time because there's really no need because you're getting 15 drinks a day. So you can usually make that last a little bit. That drink as much as I can. Yeah. Chris, I'll tell you what, I have a back to back, and I know Tim, who's on here, has a back to back to back. And I know there's other people. For example, we ran into Monica and Jarrell. They are big time posters on Facebook. I have a lot of followers on Facebook, and they were on the same cruise as us on the Celebration. And I'll tell you, they have been on, I think they said 281 consecutive days. They're back on another ship right now. It amazes. So they've essentially lived on cruise ships for almost an entire year. They're on the Radiance right now as we speak. And come to find out that Journeys cruise that we have planned for this summer, they're going to be on the same Journeys cruise, and we did not plan this at all. Just found out coincidentally. So, what is the likelihood of running into somebody on the Celebration on New Year's, and then you find out that they're on the same Journeys cruise with you that goes out of Australia? Out of Australia, we bumped into somebody that's on that same cruise. So that is going to be pretty crazy. But no, I was getting back to the cheers. The reason I mentioned the back to back is I'm currently scheduled on the Venezia for 16 days. And I did do the Vista for 21 days when we first came back from COVID. And I had cheers for all 21 of those days. And I'll tell you what, if you have cheers and you're pushing the limit every day, after a week, you can feel it. Like at the end of this cruise, I could feel it. That being said, I got my drink today and already did that shot. Thank you, Tim, for that. And I'll do another. So I guess I'm trying to wean myself down slowly. But the group that I was with, we ended up getting dubbed, or somebody in our group dubbed us the night crew, because we would basically all get together, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock. And then, inevitably we would end up at the casino bar because that's the only thing that's open late as far as bars go. And we'd just sit at a table, outside the bar and, goof around, talk, whatever. Maybe gamble. A couple people in the group gambled a little bit, but we had a lot of fun with that group. And for the most part, it was 5 of us, but we had a couple people here and there jump in with the group over the last 4 or 5 days or so. So it was a lot of fun. Look at that. We got Brad H here. And Travel with Fun says, I'd like to go on one of those 9-month world cruises. That would be insane to see the world in about 9 months. Yeah, I would like to go on one of those as well. And look at this. Speaking of Australia, we got Brad, and he said, just got back from Australia and New Zealand, the best cruise ever. Brad, that is what I want to be saying when I get back from our cruise. We start off in Australia and we end in Singapore. I imagine that I'm going to be saying close to the same thing. Shane says, I always max out the Cheers package, but for 3 weeks, maybe too much. Yeah. Shane, I got to be honest. I was talking with somebody, I think it was Sandy from our night crew. And I had mentioned that, I'd done 3 weeks. And she's like, wow, 3 weeks. Like, that's too long or whatever. And like I said, if you're drinking and hitting close to your limit on a pretty nightly basis, even after just 1 week, that wears on you. I mean, there's several days where I just crashed and slept in because, we had stayed out late. We had, hit our limit or close to our limit. And it was just, like I said, it was party hard all week long. So it was something. Shane says, I always max out the Cheers package, but for 3 weeks, maybe too much. Yep, absolutely, Shane. The start of that 3rd week, I remember that Vista cruise. And I know Tim, like I said, I know he's going to do the Vista also for 3 weeks in April. The start of that 3rd week, I remember thinking to myself, you know what, I could go home. I could really go home after 2 weeks of, just partying and hard and whatnot. But the the cruise was already paid for. I wasn't gonna, just get off the ship or whatever. But I gotta figure out how to cruise with balance when I'm on a longer cruise, right? And not just go, party hard every night. So Brad says, be sure your itinerary hits at least a few New Zealand ports. I'll send you pics. I don't think we're doing any New Zealand, Brad. We do Australia, and I think we're doing about 4 or 5 stops in Australia. Then we're doing Bali, we're doing Indonesia, and there's one other port or two, and then we end up in Singapore. I think there's about a total of about 7 ports, and then about 8 sea days. So yeah, I don't think we're doing New Zealand at all. Michelle says, "Hi, Coach. I'm looking forward to receiving that martini." Oh, that's right. You know what? I got to write a note. Michelle, I have to write a note because I completely forgot about that. And I do have it. I have not unpacked my bag. And Michelle, if you could message me, Brad Dowling, on Messenger, and remind me about that. But I'm writing myself a note right now because I sure did forget. Now that you reminded me, I didn't forget. But yes. Okay. So yeah. So Michelle was watching while I was on one of my lives, and I hit 15, and I I I do remember that, even though I hit 15. And I said, "Hey, don't you get a pen for this?" And I don't know if it was Oscar or Dexter, whoever's getting me the drink. And so they got out the pen, and yeah. So Michelle, I will get that to you. And I'm tearing off the little note now because stuff like that I will forget. Okay. Brad says 15 days are long over. We usually use it for Wi-Fi advantages. Yeah. Okay, Tim. Tim says we only had 10. Oh, I kept saying it was 12. Yeah, well, I don't know. I might have been trying to get an extra couple drinks out of them. Right. Travel with Fun says the 15 drink target. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, if it's a sea day, it's pretty well, I don't want to say it's easy to hit 15 drinks because, some people are bigger drinkers than others. But when it's a sea day, honestly, I do my best to not even have a drink until, you know, it for sure afternoon. But like 2, 3 o'clock, because I know once the sun goes down, like Kenny Chesney says, it's time to party or whatever, and the drinks will come faster, and they'll be a little easier to go down, right? As the night gets longer. And so you want to make sure you got enough in the bank there to carry you through the night. I don't want to be running out of drinks at, say, 11 o'clock or something like that. Brad says, Bali, I'm trying to send Shelly over there for a month for a women's retreat. Oh, okay. So far, she's not interested. I heard Bali is beautiful, but that's all I know. And I'm looking forward to going there. What is going on, Ben? Ben is a neighbor of mine. He's just one state over in Wisconsin. He's a big Wisconsin fan, a Brewers fan, a Packers fan. And yeah, so good to see you, Ben. Michelle says it was such a, oh yeah. Yeah, the Roaring 20s thing, and I don't know how many of you have done themed events, but we've done that 2 New Year's Eves in a row now. 2 years ago, we had a big group. Lito Tito, who's on here a lot, he organized a Roaring 20s themed, and he got that out early. He got that out early that we were trying to do that. I threw it out there less than a month before we were cruising. I want to say about 3 weeks, and we still had a pretty decent turnout. There were several people that did it just on their own that didn't even do the bar crawl with us that we saw walking around. But then, obviously, if you see the bar crawl video, you see a nice sized group of us that all dressed up, and some of them did a fabulous job pulling off that Roaring 20s look. And like I said, go and look at that cruise day video if you haven't already. And it was a lot of fun to see everybody dressed up like that. And the Roaring Twenties are always one of my favorite time periods for, apparel and things like that, and just history. So that is really cool. Travel with Fun says, I saw your interview with Lee and Marcella. And yeah, let me go through some of the rest of the stuff. So, New Year's Day was the bar crawl. So we had partied all New Year's Eve. And remember, that was after a tough travel day. So that was one of the earliest nights I went to bed. It was shortly after midnight. Anita and I, after all day drinking and rough travel day the day before, we're like, okay, that's it. So we tapped out pretty early after midnight. And the next day, slept in a while, but the bar crawl was at 1:45, so couldn't sleep in too long. And it was just a really, really fun bar crawl. Again, I just released that video today. It's less than 10 minutes long. So go check that one out and put in the comments what you thought about it. I know some of you have watched it already, so that's cool. And yeah, Frankie's just pointed out something. I went live during a cooking class where we cooked dinner. It was like a 3-course. It was actually more than 3 courses, but it was a fun class. And Anita and I were tag teaming on that. I was trying to film and then help her cook at the same time. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Now, after the bar crawl, let's see, that was New Year's Day. The next day, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, after the bar crawl, there was college football, the college football playoffs. We had Michigan going up against Alabama, and then we had Washington and Texas playing each other. I think most of you know who won. Michigan beat Alabama in a tightly contested game, and then Washington beat Texas in a tightly contested game. And that set up last night's national championship that we talked about at the beginning of the show. So I had my Michigan jersey on then and was rooting for Michigan. And there was a lot of other Michigan fans there, and we were all celebrating and having fun. I think I posted a video of that, just a short clip. I think it got copyrighted or something, so I might have deleted it. And let's see. Tim says, I thought Anita was going to smack him a few times. Yeah, she's prone to do that. Okay, so let's see. Amber Cove. Amber Cove was the port we didn't even get off the ship, and we basically just slept in, and Anita and I decided to go to the spa and have a relaxing day. So the thermal suites, they have those reclining chairs, they had the whirlpool tub, the steam saunas, everything like that. So we had a relaxing day there, and that was pretty much it for the day of Amber Cove. And then of course that night went out and partied and had a good time, just like normal. Then the next day we were in San Juan. San Juan, we pretty much walked the downtown area once we finally got off the ship. We did get together with Andrew and Yoli and their family, Sammy, Monica, and a few of their other friends, Dave, Bernadette, I think were the other two. And we went to Senior Frogs. We had a couple drinks there, had a good time hanging out. And then after that, I walked Anita back to the ship. Well, actually, we were supposed to have lunch with Lee and Mamacita, and I did eventually, but they were doing like a white elephant gift exchange on the ship. And that was something that was interesting to me. And, I had never thought about it, but because on the ship, there are so many different nationalities, and not everybody celebrates Christmas the way we traditionally do here in America. And I know in America, not everybody celebrates Christmas. So they don't necessarily have a true Christmas, I guess you could say, on the ship amongst the crew. So what they do is to show their spirit or, giving in the holiday season and thing like that. They do like this white elephant gift exchange where everybody's kind of responsible to buy one gift, and then they put that in a big pile, and then they have numbers you draw. And Lee and Mamacita were explaining to me, and it sounded like a lot of fun, actually. So somebody could draw a gift, for example, and the way that the game is set up is you could actually steal that gift from somebody. You could get 2 steals during the game. So you might get a gift that you really like, but somebody else might see it and say, "Ooh, I want that," and could get to steal it. I don't know. It sounds a lot like it was a lot of fun when they explained it to me. But yeah, so we did have it ended up being more of an early dinner than it was a late lunch, and and I actually interviewed him there, but there were some audio difficulties, and then there was a couple issues with a couple of questions that we didn't think maybe would fly. Lee had suggested, hey, let's get together tomorrow and we'll do this right. So that is the interview that you saw released. If you haven't seen it, it's in my video library. It's one of my most recent releases, but it was Lee and Mamacita at Sea. And Marcella is dubbing herself Mamacita at Sea. She was the cruise director on the Panorama their first week back. And there's a strong rumor, and as a matter of fact, Lee mentioned it in the interview, that she's going to be going back to the Panorama sometime soon. So Marcella is in the transition phase of becoming a cruise director, and she's a lot of fun. She's an absolute great person. I think it would be a lot of fun to cruise with her. As a matter of fact, I had said as much in the interview, and I really will look forward to that day when I get to cruise with her acting as a cruise director. So any of you out there, if you by chance you're going to be on the Panorama in the next couple of weeks, I think that's when maybe she'll end up on there. You might get the pleasure of cruising with Marcella, aka Mamacita at Sea. So I hope you do. And those of you that haven't watched that interview with Lee and Mamacita, I hope you get a chance. Now, I'm looking at my little Wi-Fi bars, and it went from 2 down to 1, back up to 2. So hopefully everybody's getting a relatively clear signal. We do have some bad weather in Chicago today, some rainy, slushy snow. So that's what we have going on there. Do want to mention the super chats real quick here before I move on. We are up to 50. Frankie Floyd got us up to 50, but we, again, carried over from last week. For anybody that joined us late, remember, you always carry over. So if you do a super chat and we don't hit 100 today because we're 50 away, it'll carry over to next week. So Moonlight, Carnival Cruise Addicts, Shane, Rick W., Tim G., Frankie Floyd, they are all in the mix. And again, if we do get 50 more in super chats, we'll do that drawing today. If not, that'll be carried over until we hit that 100, however long it may take us. All right, look at that, like on cue, Cruise Life TV. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So you are at numbers 51 through 60. And, oh, Zoe. Okay, I'm sure Zoe will come back in here. I think I heard her run upstairs because I think I heard Anita, babying her, whatever. And as you know, most of you know this, but Anita is not as big about being on camera. That's not her favorite thing. So that's why I don't see too much of Anita. You did see her, and you will see her more on some of the cruise vlogs. Although Anita, she had a, I guess, not an ideal cruise in terms of, she felt very tired, and then she even got sick at the very end of the cruise. So that group of ours, we didn't see as much of her as we'd hoped to see, but you do see her several times, and you'll see her several times in many of the vlogs that are upcoming and stuff. So you see her, just maybe not as much as we all hope to. And let's see here, is there any questions I missed? Travel with Fun says, I was hoping to see Marcella when I was on the celebration the week of December 17th, but I think that's when she was on the Panorama. That probably is the case. And I know she had such a great time as you watched the interviews that you saw. And again, if you have not seen that interview, you have to make a point to do that. There's a lot of interesting cruise life stuff, and there's some candid responses. We talked about, I guess, some of the people that are critical of, cruise directors and the line in general, if things don't just go perfectly. And, Lee addressed it in a very correct, a very polite way, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's some people, some people may be looking at things a different way and not seeing the bigger picture. And I don't know. I just thought it was a very thoughtful response in terms of in reaction to some of the criticism that he may receive or the crew may receive and how they deal with that criticism. And I thought his thoughts on that were pretty interesting. So I hoped you liked that. Chris says I really enjoyed Leon on our last cruise. I've cruised with Leon. He's very good. And uh Mike, I think you're talking about Anita. Yeah. And you know what, Mike? I'm going to take some credit for that because I picked it. I picked that one out. I actually get her too much stuff. Like I'll get too much of that costume jewelry and stuff like that. But yeah, I think she definitely stood out in that dress, and it had a lot more color than a lot of the typical Roaring Twenties dresses. And I even got my tie there to match up with the color of her dress. So that worked out pretty nice. So it was a lot of fun. My hat, because I have such a massive giant head, um, didn't fit quite as loose as I wanted to. So I had to kind of pull it down a little bit. But there's no way to shrink this giant noggin. So I just need to find bigger hats, I guess. And look at that. We got Z, who is still relatively fresh off the Carnival Jubilee. And again, I'm so jealous of all of you that have the Jubilee booked or have already cruised on her. I want to get on the Jubilee so bad. But right now, it's not in the cards, but we got to figure out a way to get dealt that hand. And yeah. And Mike, yes, thank you for that. And Michelle, thank you for that. Saying dress was beautiful. All right, let's see. Okay, so we talked about Amber Coven and San Juan. Like I said, I had the first of 2 interviews with Mamacita and Lee. And what was fun is, even though you're not really going to see that interview that we had, maybe I can show you a short little clip of when they're coming in the restaurant, when we left the restaurant, things like that. But as far as the questions and stuff, they had music going on in the restaurant, and I had some microphones they were wearing, but it sounded almost like an echo, and yeah, it just wasn't good. So it was way, way better the way we did it. So yeah. Then we get to St. Thomas. That was the port I was looking forward to the most. And after talking with everybody in our group, I know we had, Yoli and Andrew who cruised with us, and then they had their, brother and sister, Sammy and Monica, going with them to St. Thomas and Megan's Bay. And then I had a couple of my friends from the night crew. We had Sandy and Nora, and they were going down there. And I originally was kind of thinking of going to a different beach. But then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? Everybody else is going down there. It'd be more fun to go down with a group of people. So we all ended up going down there. And it was fun. It was a little overcast at first, but the sun did its best to pop out a little bit. Megan's Bay, for those of you that have been there, that's absolutely beautiful. It's regarded as one of the world's most beautiful beaches. It's in this like horseshoe shaped bay, and the big multi-million-dollar houses up on each side of the little mountains there that surround you, and just going out into the ocean, and you see a couple other island inlets off there, and you see the yachts parked out there from all the mega billionaires and things like that. So it's a really cool look. So for those of you who haven't been to St. Thomas, Megan's Bay could definitely be one of your top things you should consider doing. But they have many beautiful beaches there, so you really can't go wrong. But yeah, I will have a full vlog on St. Thomas and some little clips here and there. As a matter of fact, I did share a 1-minute short video from St. Thomas and Megan's Bay already, so some of you may have seen that. Mike says Virgin Islands are on my list in 2025, booking magic in April for Amber Cove, San Juan, St. Martin, and St. Thomas. And yeah, that is the exact itinerary. Oh, except for St. Martin. We didn't do St. Martin. I would have liked that. But that's almost the exact itinerary we just had. And look at that, Sandy. You know what? And I've been thinking more and more about it, Sandy. That might be my favorite ship out of the entire Carnival fleet. After cruising the Celebration 4 times now, I love the Celebration. I love the crew. Um, but it is big. And there is something nice about a slightly smaller ship that still offers quite a lot of amenities. And that's exactly what I think the Horizon does. I think it's just the right size. It's big enough and new enough that it has, a good amount of amenities, but it's not so massive that it's, somewhat overwhelming. I do love the fact, for example, that there's a pool in the Serenity area, which I didn't even end up getting in. I did go to the Serenity area on one of the last days, but we were just hanging out at the hot tub and stuff. So, um, yeah, I big fan of the Horizon. And Sandy, if you'll put in the comments if you've cruised the Horizon already before, or whether this is your first time cruising it, and what is your cabin? Where are you staying on the Horizon? I'm curious. Yes, Mike says the Horizon is stunning, and I would have to agree with that. Cruise Life TV says Celebration, Horizon, Mardi Gras, and Magic are their favorite ships, and the Magic is my next cruise at the end of March. So I'll be looking forward to going to that. I got a heck of a good deal on an aft balcony, so that's going to be a good time. Chris has been on the Horizon 2 times. I do like Deck 5 on the Carnival Horizon because you go to the Alchemy Bar, and then just down the hall, you have Guys Pig and Anchor. And unless they've changed the hours, one of the things I don't like about the Celebration is all the bars close so early. Like on the Mardi Gras, and they may have changed this now too, but the last time I was on the Mardi Gras, Guys Pig and Anchor stayed open, I think, until 2 a.m. So they had one good bar open until about 2 a.m. And then if you wanted, then after that, the casino bar was your only choice. But all of the good bars like Alchemy Bar, Latitudes, Golden Jubilee, they're all wrapping up at about 11:30, midnight. So if you don't, if you want to go to one of those good bars, it's kind of done. Like if you want to stay out past midnight, your only option really is go to the casino bar or the club. So that would be one knock, I guess I would have about the Celebration. I mean, it's not a knock on the ship or whatever. It's just the hours if, for the nightlife. Now, the piano bar sometimes will stay open, but it depends upon the piano bar singer. A lot of it's up to them how late they stay open and the person running the bar in there. I was fortunate on the Thanksgiving cruise that the bar stayed open later, and the piano bar singer Keith was amazing, and he opted to stay and play later. There was one time I think we were there till like 2 a.m. It was fantastic. So yeah, that's kind of cool. So Angie says I did not care for the placement of the Alchemy, and it closes too soon. Yep. So Angie was just talking about what I was talking about. But again, Angie in our group, when Angie and I cruised together on the Horizon, where did we end up, Angie? We ended up at Guy's Pig and Anchor, which is just down the hall, and that's a good bar too. So that is the good thing. Although Alchemy did close early than we would all like it to, at least there was another fallback bar that we could go to in the name of Guy's Pig and Anchor, which is a pretty good bar. Yep. And there she said pig for Guys Pig and Anchor. When does the Cheers package zero out again? 6 a.m. That is the question right here from Cruise Life TV. They're asking, when does the Cheers package zero out again? It is 6 a.m. 6 a.m. is when it kicks back in. And really, the only kind of drink you're able to get at 6 a.m. is if you go to the coffee shop and get one of the spiked coffees. I don't know if anything else is open. Maybe the lobby bar is open. But yeah, it's going to be tough to get a drink that early. And Justin is saying the Celebration is still my favorite ship. Yeah, it's very tight. It's very tight for me, Justin, between that and the Carnival Horizon. Now, if you and I know Angie's not as big a fan of the Havana area as I am, but they stayed in the Havana area, the Charlie's Angels, Christy, Nikki, and Angie, and myself and Anita. We were all back there. And on that particular sailing, it was packed out in the Havana area. Now, Havana area on the Vista class ships is like a party area. And the weather was very nice. So a lot of the loungers apparently were taken up. And as Angie rightly points out, if you spend a premium dollar to get back there, it should be pretty easy for you to get a lounger. So I agree with her on that. And I've never seen that except for that particular cruise. So Angie says, give me a chair. Yeah. Oh, look at that. First time Horizon Group celebrating a birthday, doing a bar crawl in my honor. We got to put that on the screen. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Tell you what, I'm doing all this talking. I need to drink a little bit more here. Only thing we didn't like on the Horizon, the location of the piano bar. Yeah, let's see. Piano bar is right next to the steakhouse, right? And it's across from what? The library? I think it's across from the library. Where would you have liked the piano bar to be, Cruise Life, out of curiosity? The last time I was on the Horizon, I'm pretty sure. No, maybe it was the time before. I think, yeah, it was the summer, not when we were there, Angie. But yeah, kind of across from the sushi. Yeah, Bonsai Sushi. And then you have the Alchemy Bar. Then kitty corner to that is the piano bar. But we went in there once and the piano bar was just kind of like, but the time before I'd gone to the piano bar on the Horizon, the summer, it was pretty good. That's when I was with the Island Time crew. All right. All right, we are under 10 minutes here, and we're still about 30 strong here. If you haven't already, we got Scott from Controversial Cruising just jumping on. Great to see you, Scott. He says, Coach. Yeah, so let's finish up. So St. Thomas again was great. Again, we had a big group, a big party, and the following day was Friday, and we did another bar crawl. It was just a mini bar crawl. There were several other people that said they wanted to do it, and it's funny, I always talk to people on the cruise, and then inevitably we end up hanging around with a small group of people during the week, and they're going to talk to this person, and they talk to this person, and this person going, and this person said they're going, and I've done enough of these bar crawls now that I kind of know the numbers, and I know, like, okay, if 4 people say they're going to go to it, just word of mouth, maybe you can count on one of those 4. And for example, I've had over 100 people sign up for some of my bar crawls, and I think the biggest number I actually ever went out with was about 70. And that's a lot of bar crawlers, don't get me wrong, but there's a no-show factor of at least 30%. I would say about 30 to 50%. And on this particular cruise, because the night before was New Year's Eve, I pushed the bar crawl back an hour to give people an extra hour to kind of recover and get ready for this bar crawl. And the other thing that kind of gives me a good idea, and that's one of the things why I like doing the shirts that I do, is if people buy a shirt, then I know they're invested in the bar crawl. They got the bar crawl shirt. So if, if 40 people get a shirt for the bar crawl, I can pretty much count on at least a 40, because you'll see in a lot of these bar crawl videos. In fact, the one that I just released, there's a couple times I was watching it and, watching us kind of walk through the ship there. And I'm like, wow, almost everybody's got a Coach Cruise shirt on, which is awesome. It's good for my ego. But no, I mean, it looks cool because I love the fact that it's not just one color. And I like, actually, there might only be 3 yellow shirts or something like that, or maybe there'll only be 2 black shirts, but there's this hodgepodge of colors, but it has the same design and everybody traveling as a group. So yeah, Michelle, that was a crazy big group, and that was a tough job for the senior bartenders. And by the way, if anybody is watching this on the Carnival celebration, shout out to Rondolph, the senior bartender who went with us on both bar crawls. And as a matter of fact, he did both 2 bar crawls with me on the Thanksgiving cruise. And he's great. He's absolutely great. When that survey comes out, I will definitely be writing his name in there as somebody who goes above and beyond. And I can tell there's this everybody in the crew, all the different bartenders and stuff around the ship really respect him and like him a lot. So Rondolph's the real deal. Yoli says, "What are the different class ships on Carnival?" I can only remember the Vista class. So you have the XL class, and then the Vista class, and then you have the Dream class. You have the Spirit class. I'm forgetting one. Somebody help me out. Those are 4 classes right there. But I know XL, Vista, Dream, Spirit. Is that it? Or is there another one? And Frankie says, count me in on one of your bar crawls. At this point, unless you're not a drinker, or maybe you're, tried to quit drinking and don't want to be enticed into drinking, you should definitely come on one of my bar crawls, because it's not me that makes the crawl. All I really do is organize it. I just put people in a position to have fun and create fun with fellow cruisers. And everybody does such a wonderful job of that, especially once the drinks start kicking in a little bit. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So Kakins is saying we got the Sunrise, the Sunshine, is it the Conquest? Is that it? The Conquest class? I think the Conquest is a separate class, right? Is it the Conquest? I mean, there's always usually whatever that first ship is, although nobody calls the XL class the Mardi Gras class, even though the Mardi Gras was the first. Maybe eventually they will. Oh, the Fantasy with Elation. Yeah. Yeah, Chris is on it. I mean, I don't definitively know. Okay, Cruise Life TV. I never thought about this until you went live, because we were just on the celebration, know the ship so well. It really made us feel as if we were back on board. Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, I do the same thing. I'll watch other people going live on the ship, or I'll watch vlogs or something like that. And I'll be like, oh, I've been there. And then, yeah, yeah, it's cool. And I know many of us here, obviously, we are cruise addicts, right? We got, Carnival cruise addicts are off and on here. So that's a fitting name. But, we can't get enough of it, right? We just love the whole cruise life. And I think those of us that are really into the cruise life, we get into stuff like interviews with cruise directors and stuff, and hearing about their personal details and their daily life and their work routine and how they have fun and all that other kind of stuff. And we get into that. Not everybody does. Some people could care less. And some people are, avid cruisers, and they could care less about that stuff anyway. And, absolutely, that makes sense. So yeah, we are under 2 minutes here. Let me remind everybody, if you haven't already, I think we probably had close to 50 people jumping in here at some point. We're still over 30 people. Thank you so much for staying all the way to the end. But if you haven't already hit that like button, if you could do that before you close the screen out today, I would appreciate that. That way, the people that are searching for it on replay, it'll pop up higher in the feed, and they might get a chance. Now, the next goal, I don't know if you see the banner there. We went over 6,000. We did that before the new year. And thank you for every one of you that are subscribed to the channel. So if there's anybody new that hasn't already subscribed, if you would be so kind to hit that subscribe button. I set a lofty goal, because we are not even at 6,100. And I'm going to try to hit 6,500 by February 20th. Why February 20th, you may ask? Well, that just so happens to be my birthday. So I have a birthday goal of 6,500 subscribers. That is what the deal is. Okay, now next week, any theater lovers out there? Okay, I'm not a theater lover, although I love going to the theater type shows on cruise ships. But, when I'm at home in Chicago, you would think I would do it more often and take advantage of it, but I don't. But I am next week. So next week, Tuesday, I'm going to a show that is quite acclaimed called Hamilton. I'm sure many of you have heard of it, those of you at least that are into theater and stuff like that. So I haven't quite decided yet, but there's a good chance that I could be doing the show on either Monday or Wednesday. So yeah, that next week, more than likely, I won't be doing the show on Tuesday. So be on the lookout for potentially Monday or Wednesday to do this show. But yeah, so that's what we got going on there. And look at there, we are over an hour. Let's see, let's look at any last questions. Michael, thank you. And you have a great evening as well. Michelle, 220. Yeah, 6,500. That is the goal. I wish 65K. I'm going to have to do something insane to get that many new subscribers. Travel Fun says Lee has 2 weeks left on the celebration. Yes. And then going on a cruise as a guest with a red card. Yes, that was part of the interview. The funny thing is, some of these cruise directors and crew, they have thousands and thousands of days logged at sea, right? But when they go as a passenger, they may have never done a cruise as a passenger before, as a cruiser. So Lee had been on one previous Carnival cruise. So he has graduated from the blue card and now is a red card. And he's going to be visiting, and that's in the interview as well. He's going to be visiting his fiancee, Geraldine, who's a performer in the playlist productions on the Carnival Sunrise. So he's going to be on a back-to-back for 10 days on the Carnival Sunrise, celebrating, with his lovely fiancee, Geraldine. Michelle says, Hamilton is a great show. Enjoy. I'm so looking forward to it. I had gotten the ticket for Anita as a surprise. I was going to surprise her with the tickets. And then now she tells me she's got to work. She can't get out of work. So there is a colleague that I work with, my athletic director, in fact, who is an avid theater goer. She teaches a Shakespeare class. She's had her kids perform in Shakespeare. So she was one of the first people I thought of. And I said, hey, you want to be my date next Tuesday? And so that's who I'm likely to go with. Yoli says, Hamilton is great. I will enjoy it. I'm sure I will. And look at that. We got Sammy. Oh, you know what? Sammy came on just in time. There's still 26 of you. So let me just tell you, I am going to show you all this clip on one of my vlogs from Saturday. It's going to be one of the last vlogs in the celebration series. But Sammy told me, and she points a finger at me. I'm sorry, Monica. Sammy is on here. Sammy is the husband that made his wife point the finger at me. Sammy is a hardcore Steelers fan. So Sammy, Andrew, myself, Yoli, Monica, we were and Anita. Anita came up too. We're back there watching the Steelers because the Steelers had to beat the Ravens to make the playoffs or have an opportunity to make the playoffs. So Sammy got quite excited watching that game, and he takes his shirt off and he's running up and down the aisles and slamming on furniture and everything, and just so happy and screaming and all that. And he's waving the shirt around and stuff like that. And Monica, his wife, is just covering her face like this, and then she looks this way and she sees that I'm filming it, and she's like, Brad, turn that off, but I'm going to show it. I've already cleared it with them. I let them know that there's no way I could not show that. So you all are in for a treat. Make sure you have that notification bell hit. So when that particular video comes out, and Tim G, he's been quiet tonight, but I know he's a big Steeler fan. And the Steelers made the playoffs, so Sammy is super pumped. Sammy says, we had fun cruising with you. It was nice meeting you and Anita. Absolutely. And so we enjoyed St. Thomas with Sammy and Monica, along with Andrew and Yoli as well. Steakhouse, Roaring 20s, all that stuff. All right. Well, I guess that's it, everybody. Again, thank you. And I mean, there's still 26 of you on here, so just hearing me ramble on here. But great show. I mean, well, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't so great. It was just me rambling and talking the whole time. But the fact that you stuck with me. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. And again, next week, I'll try to do a show. I don't know whether it'll be Monday or Wednesday, but I'll figure out a day and I'll try to get that out to you a couple days advance notice. So hopefully you can join with us once again. And Cruise Life T says, always another great live show. Good night, everyone. And good night, everyone. Take care, everybody. Appreciate you. See you next week at some time. Peace.